important to everyone, and I feel like I'm always running out of time. I've kind of felt this way since I was a kid. Time definitely affects my family just as strongly as it does me. We have a few traditions, and one of them is to always be late. I think that I definitely inherited the struggle to get out of the door on time from my mother. One of her strategies was to set every clock to be running around 15 minutes early: the oven clock, the car's dashboard, and others. My strategy is to set many alarms and timers on my phone, but that hasn't always been the most helpful strategy. I ignore or sleep through the alarms every once in a while. Maybe I should just get a watch so I'm not always running out of time to get ready for something. And because time has a chokehold on all of us, I know that you are also running out of time. That deadline is coming up, you'll lose them before you reconnect, you miss that chance and you're never getting it back. Despite always kind of having those thoughts in the back of my head, time has become far more important to me recently. All because I'm about to graduate high school. I already have an idea of what I'll do next. My main plan is to go to trade school for welding. I just have to make sure I don't miss any deadlines. Speaking of missing deadlines, I definitely struggled to get the original script for this speech turned in on time, despite the deadlines being clearly laid out. The process of writing the speech felt a bit like my AP seminar research papers, especially in the rough drafting stages. While I was writing my AP papers last year, I struggled in the same ways and continuously missed deadlines. This common pattern of missing deadlines on projects and procrastinating has definitely contributed a bit to my anxiety around time and time passing. I cannot really tell how long it will take me to complete an assignment, especially a large one like this. I'm not very good with deadlines, and this has always led to a lot of stress in my school career. And I suppose that everyone is a bit time blind, but it often doesn't feel like that because so many people seem to have things better figured out when it comes to being on time. I feel like there's a clock ticking down every hour of every day, making me wonder if what I'm doing is really such a good use of time. Should I be using my time better? I'm in my senior year of high school, and I'm tired. My life up until now has pretty much just revolved around school, especially since I'm elementary and middle school. I often only have energy for school and nothing else during the day. But that was caused by other factors in my life. And now the end of my school years are in sight, and I have more energy than I've ever had before. My future is coming up fast, and while it's terrifying, it's also a relief. I'll be able to do things in the future that I can find more joy in. One of the big changes in the near future is going to college. I hope that during my college years I'll be able to organize my work and class schedules so things work better for me. I hope to not have a same box of time given up by being in school every day. So I will have more time for rest and more time for the kinds of art projects that I have always been wanting to devote more time to. I'm excited for my future, even though I don't really know where I'll wind up. And despite this excitement, I have found that there is often a lot of anxiety I feel when thinking about the last couple of years of high school. People who are younger than me have achieved so much more before me while I'm fighting through every day sometimes. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing my art to others, even though the value of art is more in the expression of it than the technical skill needed to make a piece. Despite me enjoying art and being pretty good at it, I have just been drawing quick doodles in my sketchbook. I would like to do more art in the future, and I feel like it can be difficult to prioritize art when I do have time for it. This has led to my skills not being as developed as I would like them to be. I've been so caught up in functioning through my everyday life that it can often feel like functionality matters above everything else, especially when there are factors in your life causing you to struggle. And I've just never really seriously worked on my art. I think this is largely because I decided early on that I won't do art as a career. I wanted to keep it for myself and my own joy instead of finding a market and having to rely on it to get money to survive. And despite all of this, I know that my skill with art will increase with time. But to bring this talk back to the original topic of time and how quickly it seems to pass, outside of small regular instances of running out of time, it can also feel like you run out of time to be with people you care about. I'm often grieving for the time I feel like I've wasted, like I should have done more to try and keep contact with people. My efforts have paid off somewhat because I'm closer now with my grandparents than I ever have been in the past. But I still sometimes feel that little bit of anticipatory grief. Grief is a very complex thing with many different stages and categories. One part I have personally faced is anticipatory grief. Anticipatory grief can be simply defined by feeling the grief before the loss occurs. This is often seen in the cases of terminally ill or elderly people. Oftentimes the stages of grief are reduced to the expected 5 stages, but grief isn't linear. The process of grief and its lingering effects rewire the brain in a way. According to neurologist Lisa M. Schulman, MD, AAN, grief is a protective process the brain undergoes in the aftermath of the event. Even though it is a process that affects many parts of the brain, it can be overlooked as the grieving person continues to function. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to react to tragic events, but it also causes it to form connections. And over time, tragic events can affect cognitive functions. But the effects of this stress that lasts long term are reversible by working through these events and finding good outlets. I personally have not had a life full of grief. I've had relatives pass, but I still have my grandparents. I know that I won't have them forever, and it's difficult to tell what the right way to grieve is. It definitely felt like I was grieving in Carth when my great-grandmother died. It felt like I had a sort of delayed reaction. But I was just going through the stages of grief on my own time. And in a way, I'd already grieved. She had been sick for a while, and I had been feeling anticipatory grief pretty strongly in the months leading up to her passing. I often feel like I didn't have enough time with her. My grandparents play a part in my life now, currently a much larger part in my life than they used to. So I try to keep contact with them because I know I don't really have as much time as I think I may have. But that's not a good thing to keep worrying about. Everyone has experienced grief in some form or another, and it's something that can occur when you're facing a large change in your life. Even if you're excited for those changes, they can be terrifying. I anticipate grieving this late high school part of my life at least a little bit. The sort of anticipatory grief often shows up for me through me being worried that my life won't go well after finishing high school. I encounter this feeling sometimes when I'm having a good time and I realize I'm going to lose all this as my life changes. But if I try to hold on to the present or the past too much, I will only stunt my own growth. I decided to get a degree in welding and go into the trades because I realized that I didn't want to go to college and have a job where I had a schedule far too close to the school schedule that had exhausted me so much. And I also realized that I wouldn't be a failure if I went a different path. I'm not a failure if I don't choose the most academically rigorous classes. But why was there even the thought that I would somehow be failing if I focused on working with my hands? This is because I have only focused on how well I had done academically, and I had not until recently considered what I might actually want to do with my life. I don't want to go to college, I don't want to live in the dorms, I want to get a quick degree. It's sort of reassuring to know that the world is so desperate for the kind of industry I want to focus on. There are so many possible trades to go into, and so many possible schools to go into. And oftentimes the skills needed for trades transfer over between them. I have found that there can be an intense decision paralysis when I have to make those decisions regarding my future, such as what classes to apply to, and that decision paralysis has led to me more and more rapidly running out of time to make those decisions. Ambition is something everyone needs. Without ambition, nothing can be done. But how does ambition relate to time? I am often too ambitious with the time I have, either thinking I can complete a large number of things with little time, or not realizing how much time it would really take to complete something. Would I call myself an ambitious person? I guess I could, because I always bite off more than I can chew, and so I wind up scrambling in the end. I have decided to write an entire TED Talk and perform it despite never actually doing any form of public speaking before. I guess that I wanted to see how much I could handle, and at the core of it, challenge myself. This definitely ties in with me wanting to do more than I'm capable of doing. And on that note, here's to trying to make a better future easier